Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified series, Snake Eyes and Timber. Again, it's a new release for Snake Eyes, sort of, and it's another release, or I guess a new release for Timber also. The last one was gray for Timber, this one's white, and the last Snake Eyes was a different combination of black and gray. I don't believe we have any new parts here except for maybe a couple of his accessories. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong because you guys know G.I. Joe more than I do, but I like some ninjas and some wolves. I guess I don't really care about wolves, but they go with ninjas nicely. So I figured I'd buy this just to review it and because I don't mind having it in my collection. But I'm not that into Joe, so again, if I'm wrong about reused parts, you can correct me, but I think they're all old. But it's a pretty cool set. It's not a bad value at all. There's tons of accessories, and it looks really good. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 16 centimeters. That's going to make him only about 6 1/4 inches. He's going to be a little bit short compared to your Marvel Legends. And here he is up against Darwin. Darwin's a little bit taller, but it's a pretty close height. So I would say he's about 0.9 Darwins, which is not too bad. All right, let's do a question of the day, get it out of the way before we carry on with the review. Which version of Snake Eyes is your favorite? Not figure-wise, character design-wise. I like the more all-black ones, like black and gray at least. The flat dark earth on here doesn't look great. And then this up here is kind of like a really dark green, grayish green. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't mind it. Obviously, it looks good, but I think for me personally, I like the more all-black look, but this is nice. It definitely gives you something to look at, so I like that. All right, let's talk about the aesthetic. Speaking of the coloring, they put a lot of paint on this guy. If you look at his chest, you wouldn't notice at first glance, but this is like a really dark gray green. And then we do have the little black panels on there that look nice. And we also have the grayish, greenish color up here as well. The belt is painted nicely. We have two tones of brown and tannish taupish FDE for the pants. That's nice. Another color here. The boots are kind of just a solid color, but you do get some decent paint work throughout, even though it's very subtle and you might not notice it. Even the face mask, the chin strap is a different color. Yeah, this is a nice looking figure. Even on the butt, they continued the paint job, so it looks pretty good. Could you bring it to life with a little bit of silver or some different colors for the rivets and buttons and snaps and things? Absolutely, but this looks pretty darn good for coming right out of the package. I will take it. The sculpt work is awesome. His legs are still a little bit scrawny, like no doubt he could look better if he didn't have little skinny legs, but it's the same mold as before, and with that mold, they've done a good job. I think it looks really nice. I guess we can talk about Timber while we're here, since he's not really just an accessory. There's no wash or anything going on for him. He's mostly just your cream-colored plastic. You have a little bit of paint work on his face, and then on his claws and paws, but that's it. So it's very basic, so that's a bit of a bummer. Not going to look anywhere near as good as it could have if it had a little bit of paint. So I'll go, considering it's almost a straight up re-release just with different colors and accessories, I'm only going to go 8. It does look really nice, and they did give us the paint here, but they definitely cheaped out here, so a little bit of a bummer. Okay, let's talk accessories. He has 2 trigger finger hands. He has 1 karate chop hand, but it has a climbing thing attached to it, which is weird that we only get 1 hand with that. I don't know what's going on. That's very strange. 1 climbing hand. And then we get a hand with a throwing star in it. And that's all. Those are all nice. But again, lacking a climbing hand and then lacking fist hands of any kind, definitely a bummer. Don't care for that. We do have his scabbard and his sword. They're both nicely done, though it pegs onto his back in a way that is reversed from what it should be. Otherwise, he would never, I mean, the way it is, he cannot draw the sword if he was a real person. We do get his knife. That goes into the sheath on his leg. That's fine. We get his pistol, which looks mostly like a Beretta, and that looks pretty good, a 92. That fits in the holster on his leg, and you do get a silencer to go in that holster also, and that does connect to the Beretta, or it'll connect to the Uzi that he comes with. And most of these accessories are just solid black, by the way, if you can't see that. That's a little bit of a bummer, but they look nice enough. Speaking of other guns he does have what looks like some kind of crazy AK with like an AR type magazine. Very strange, but the magazine is removable, so that's kind of cool. You get that magazine. You get another magazine which goes into this gun, which looks like an even more crazy version of like an MP5. Again, with a removable magazine in a place where it never would be. I have no idea what that's doing. But we have those 2 guns, and then we also get this kind of harpoon looking gun. I guess this would be for like climbing up walls. I don't know what that's for, but that gun that it's connected to looks like a different type of gun that doesn't shoot harpoons, so that's weird, but you do get that. And then you lastly get his shemagh, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, sculpted well enough, doesn't fit on the body well, you'll see in the photos at the end. Not the best thing. And then lastly, we get a new head for Timber, which is actually pretty nicely done with the open mouth. I think that's a pretty good look. I like it. I guess you could technically count his chest strap right here, the grenade strap, as an accessory, but I'm not going to because it comes on him and you probably wouldn't want to take it off, but you could. I guess you would want to for the shemagh. Anyway, it's a good spread of accessories. I'll go 9 out of 10. Some paint would be nice, and some guns that don't look ridiculous would also be nice. Alright, we'll run the articulation just in case you're not familiar with it. Ball peg for the neck. Head is on the hinge ball peg. Hinge doesn't work all that well, but you get enough range using both of the joints. It's alright. And mine's probably just stuck, so you should be okay. Double ball peg rather than the hinge would be better. Shoulders are on a butterfly joint that really doesn't afford much range at all, so that's just silly. But that's been the case again since the beginning of this mold. Bicep swivel. Shoulder rotation is fine, bringing the arm up to the side. Very tight joint, but you can get it up to at least horizontal. It's slightly past that, so that's okay. Wow, that is a tight joint. Make sure when you're doing a tight joint like that, you're not just flexing the arm. Get up here into the shoulder area so that you're not going to tear that peg that holds the bicep on. You don't want that. Bicep swivel is fine. The straps on here are removable. If you want them off, you can do it. Double jointed elbow works no problem. That's fine. Wrists have a swivel and a vertical hinge, so I love that his wrists are both vertical. That's great. He has an ab crunch. Goes back really far, no problem at all. By the way, he doesn't look pregnant. It can be done, Hasbro, Marvel team. It doesn't look pregnant, so that's good. And it leans all the way forward, that's good. And then you get the ball peg at the waist for a little extra leaning and rotation, so that's fine, no problem there. Floaty belt is floaty. If those joints were reversed, he would work even better, but because you do get the rotation in the waist, I'll definitely take it. That's alright. Yeah. Would be better reversed, but this is a fine implementation. We still have the hinged hips, which are just trash. That should never be a thing. They never help enough to be justified. But you do get full-on splits, no thanks to the hips. That's not how that works. The drop-down hinge does not help side to side. That just is a good design, so good job there. Bringing the legs forward, that's what the drop-down is for. That's how far it goes forward without dropping down. And then if I drop it down, it goes slightly farther forward. Just a little bit. It's not worth the hassle. Just design it a little bit better, and you don't need it at all. But in this case, it's not floppy or loose, so I'll take it, I guess. Thigh swivel is fine. These guys are both loose. You could remove them if you wanted to. Double jointed knee is okay. Proportions are still a little bit off. He's got a little bit too much down here, not enough up here. Definitely not enough meat, but the joint itself works nicely, so that is good. You do get a boot swivel. Ankles go all the way back and all the way forward, and you have a decent enough ankle rocker with the boot swivel. It'll be fine. So articulation's fine on this guy. No problems, really. I have to point out the sculpt on his lower legs is super weird. It's like mushed. I don't know if you can see. It's squashed right here. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell the way his boot is. If you have it in person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've never seen somebody's leg shaped that way, especially with a boot with laces and everything. Your leg would not be shaped that way. So it's strange, but you won't notice it once you pose him. So no big deal. I didn't mention that in the aesthetic portion, so I wanted to now. But the articulation is definitely fine. Some of it could be better here and there, but it works well. So I would say articulation gets a 9 out of 10. It's pretty good. It could be better, but it's pretty solid, definitely. So, time for a final verdict. Is this another worthy purchase? Well, I mean, it depends on how many colors of Snake Eyes you want. If you don't mind, this is probably one of the better ones, if you don't mind the colors, that is. It's got more paint on it and a lot of accessories, and it's not a floppy mess like we've seen in the past. So, this might be the best release. It's a really strong one. So, is it annoying that it's a straight up repaint? For the most part, yes, but it's a good one, so I can't really complain, and we knew that going in. So I'm going to give it an overall rating of 9 out of 10. It's a strong one. Really no serious complaints on this guy other than the scabbard going the wrong direction on his back, but it's fine. It's all right. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.